Silver is completely capturing the spotlight, with dynamic price action that literally has traders and economists on high alert. The precious metals market is just red hot, and silver, well, it's currently trading near its absolute strongest levels in months. So let's look at what the data is actually telling us.
And this is the burning question on literally every investor's mind today. Is $65 an ounce the next immediate target? Does this current rally actually have the legs to smash through that barrier? Or, is a short-term correction lurking right around the corner? To answer that intelligently, we've got to look closely at the underlying mechanics of the market, regional pricing differences, and of course the massive macroeconomic forces driving this whole surge.
Okay, part 1. The global silver surge.
So, as of our latest data, the international spot price for silver has just blasted to approximately $61.73 per troy ounce. To put that into perspective for you, that translates to around $1.99 a gram, or nearly $2 grand a kilogram. At over $61 an ounce, silver is definitely commanding the room. Investors are tracking every single tick right now because holding this level is a massive signal about overall market sentiment.
Now, when we translate that global spot price down to local retail markets, things get really interesting. Over in India, retail silver is trading around 240 rupees a gram, so roughly 240,000 rupees a kilo. And in Pakistan's bullion market, one tola of silver sits around 6,502 rupees. But look, as anyone trading locally already knows, these numbers aren't static. Final prices are going to fluctuate daily based on local taxes, making charges, and how those regional currencies are holding up against the US dollar.
Moving on to Section 2. What's driving the rally?
So what exactly is keeping silver propped up above that $61 floor? Well, it really comes down to silver's unique dual identity. On one hand, you've got its historical role as a classic safe haven asset. When inflation bites, investors flood in to protect their wealth. But simultaneously, silver is a total blue-collar workhorse. It's this crazy collision of investment demand with immense, unrelenting industrial demand that creates such a rock-solid foundation for the price.
And let me tell you, that industrial demand is absolutely not slowing down anytime soon. The whole global push for clean energy, it requires uninterrupted massive amounts of silver. Here's a fun fact for you. A single electric vehicle can contain up to 2 whole ounces of silver, and your average solar panel uses about 20 grams. Multiply that by global green tech initiatives, not to mention the smartphones sitting in our pockets and advanced medical devices, and you've got a gigantic industrial pillar supporting these high price levels.
Then, of course, we have the currency play. Because silver is priced internationally in US dollars, any weakness in the greenback instantly makes silver a whole lot more affordable to buyers using foreign currencies. This sudden boost in purchasing power outside the US acts as a massive tailwind for global demand. It's essentially fueling the macroeconomic seesaw that is pushing silver higher right now.
All right, Section 3. Will the trend continue?
Now, even with silver sitting at these really impressive heights, the market remains highly dynamic. Going forward, the catalysts you need to watch like a hawk are pretty clear. Upcoming U.S. inflation reports and Federal Reserve interest rate decisions. Both of those are going to directly impact dollar strength. Add in global economic growth data, which dictates that industrial demand we talked about, plus some unpredictable geopolitical shockwaves, and you've got a pretty volatile mix. Look, if industrial demand stays robust, silver remains well supported. But remember, even in a massive uptrend, short-term profit-taking is entirely normal.
Which brings us to Section 4, your investment strategy. So, the big question, is right now the time to buy? Well, that entirely depends on your personal time horizon and risk tolerance. Right now, market participants are basically split into 2 camps. Over in one corner, you've got investors viewing silver as a vital long-term portfolio diversifier. They're jumping in now for exposure to that unique mix of investment safety and industrial necessity. But in the other corner, you have the patient opportunists. They know markets don't just go up in a straight line, so they're holding out for a natural pullback to lower their cost basis before jumping in.
Now, as always, we are just here to map out the landscape in this explainer, not to give financial advice. But the absolute biggest takeaway from our sources is this. Staying educated is literally your single best defense against volatility. Whether you're actively diversifying right now or just waiting patiently on the sidelines, understanding these colliding forces, from green tech to the US dollar, is absolutely crucial before making any move.
As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a final thought to ponder. With industrial demand setting a strong floor, but economic uncertainty potentially capping the ceiling, what actually happens next? Will silver violently break that $65 barrier this month, or are we due for a sleepy market pause? Drop your predictions in the comments below. I would absolutely love to read them. If